So I've never had a sweet child of mine play right before I come up to talk. So it's pretty cool. I tried to get my son to come with me tonight, but he wouldn't come. The last time I went to a fundraiser, it was a bunch of tables and a PowerPoint presentation. So I said, "Do you want to come? We're going to a fundraiser." I said, "No way." This is the coolest one I've ever been to. That is for sure. So I really applaud everyone for coming and really supporting a cause that I imagine everybody in this room has been touched by, and that's cancer. And we're here specifically in recognition of efforts of Lou and her family and all of you, to make a difference in that fight. And so it's really an honor for me to be here. And it's funny, I find myself getting emotional looking at so many people, because this is a battle that touches everybody. So I'm going to tell a couple of stories. I may have told part of it to you guys, but I have some new stuff to tell you about what we're trying to do at the James and what institutions like the James are trying to do across the country and indeed the world to change things. So AML therapy has been about the same for 30 or 40 years, and obviously that's very discouraging. We're finally getting to the point where we see the map, and we just don't know exactly what's the right journey. And that's genetics. Understanding the underpinnings of disease and understanding that Lou's AML is probably different than Hayden or John or anybody else, that we take care of, that all these diseases are different. And by trying to understand what these differences are, we can make a difference. So I told Scott and Teresa, and Kristen too, right? We met for lunch or breakfast or something like that a few months ago, which was really amazing and inspiring for me. I told them a story, I'm going to share it with you tonight. So we're doing a number of different clinical trials at the James with new drugs. It doesn't really matter what the names of the drugs are for tonight. But we started a new trial maybe about 6 months ago now. And one of the patients that went onto it was actually very much like Lou. I mean, not a whole lot older. 18, 19 years old. And the way this trial was set up is that he swallowed a new pill for 2 weeks before he started the chemotherapy, which is very intensive. Those of you that knew Lou, you don't know what that means. So he swallowed a pill for 2 weeks, and then the chemo was planned. And so he took it for a few days, and he was really feeling fine, and lived not too far away. We said, well, I guess you can go home, come back. And he was like back every other day, getting his labs checked and transfusions if he needed, that sort of thing. But he comes back 2 weeks later, and his blood counts are normal. And we do a bone marrow biopsy, and there's no leukemia there. And so I've never seen that. Nobody has with this type of disease. And so the question will be, what's unique about him? What's different about him from Lou or these other patients that we see? Trying to understand how that drug made a difference in this young man's life. So we didn't know how long this effect would last for him, so obviously we gave him the chemotherapy too. You don't want to go into the unknown. Well, he's still in remission, got a bone marrow transplant, still in remission. Yeah, and what's fun about it is that this is a trial that we're expanding around the country. A number of different sites. We're working with a particular company on it. It's not just us, and that's truth in everything in life, but certainly true in cancer. It's not just us. There's little meetings like this everywhere, I think, to really make a difference. Anyway, so this trial is going on across the country, and we heard a couple of weeks ago that a patient very much different than Lou, 70-year-old man, multiple chemotherapies failed, same thing, gets on the pill and he's in remission. So meetings like this, parties like this, what you're doing and what you guys are doing, it makes a difference. And we're going to have more failures than success when we talk about new drugs and new trials and new efforts and new ways to do transplant, new ways to prevent graft versus host disease, rejection after transplant. But there's an opportunity to succeed now that even 10 years ago we didn't have because we didn't understand the genetics. But we're making headway in that. And efforts like this to support specifically the James and Nationwide, and we have strong relationships with the people at Nationwide, so we. Us, you said, to help us, it's all of us. These things make a big difference. So what do we do with the money? Well, we support people in the lab, to get cells from patients, leukemia cells from patients. And basically see how we can make the leukemia cells die. Then they translate that back to us. We try to understand, well, what's different about this patient from that patient? Why would it work here and not over there? We train young people. You know, students come into the lab. You know, we help them kind of get started because, you know, really to win this fight, you know, it's going to take a generation. But I think that this is where it's going to be different from 20 years ago to now, because there's more drugs, more understanding molecular basis of disease. We're leading a new trial across the nation where patients come into the trial, their genetics are basically characterized first, and then we decide which drug A, B, C, D that they get, rather than a one-fits-all. And ultimately, that's where it's going to come down to. And I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank you guys for inviting me. It's inspiring to me to come to see so many people who care, so many people who can and will make a difference. I read Lou's Twitter tonight. I looked at it. I just looked her up, and there's so many touching things in there. You know, for stuff about prom. And these are personal things to everybody, and I know that it's personal to all of you that know her so well. And it's an honor for me to be here in her memory. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you.